In this video, we are updating the timing and impacts you can expect from this unusual winter storm. The National Weather Service has expanded their winter weather watches and warnings to include a massive chunk of the country. We're going to lay out all the latest details so you can be informed. Welcome back, y'all. Ryan Hall here with the weather forecast. Our winter storm that we have been tracking for a while now is finally in full steam ahead mode. Other than forecasting, we are also going to start nowcasting as we go forward. So make sure you're tuned in to all my social media stuff so you can get more updates than just one YouTube video a day from me, because there's going to be a lot over the next little bit. Also, I plan on doing live coverage tomorrow right here on YouTube. So let's go ahead and slap that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss that. Now, let's start talking about the weather. All right, here's a big old look at our storm. You can see as I'm filming this, we've got snow up here in Missouri all the way down into Oklahoma. It's starting to break out in northwestern portions of Arkansas. And then we've got a bunch of rain from the deep south all the way up into Tennessee and Alabama. Now, out ahead of this storm, if you're in the blue, then you are under a winter storm watch. If you're in the pink, you're under a winter storm warning. And then down here in Georgia and the Carolinas, we got two shades of purple. The lighter purple is going to be a winter weather advisory, and then the dark purple here is an ice storm warning. An ice storm warning is my least favorite kind of winter weather warning, but you guys in Elberton, Greenwood, all the way up into Lancaster are under a ice storm warning for up to a ½ inch of ice. Okay, let's really start looking at what this thing's going to do as it heads up the East Coast on the weather models. All right, we're going to start off with the NAM 3-kilometer model. This is about what the radar is going to look like as we go forward. We're going to track this thing all the way up into the northeast, and if you want to keep up with the date and time, it's always up there above my head. Starting off at 3 p.m. today, we're going to see snow still down here in Arkansas, Oklahoma, southeastern portions of Kansas. The heaviest snow is probably going to be right there in extreme southern Missouri, and then of course you can see that big moisture stream in the form of rain and thunderstorms coming up through Louisiana, Mississippi, and then into portions of Tennessee and Arkansas. Let's pull this forward a little bit more, and really nothing changes a lot. All the way through the evening tonight, we're still going to be seeing that heavy snow breaking out here in Arkansas. It is moving out of Missouri now, and our main axis of moisture and thunderstorms has moved over into Alabama. But for the most part, this thing is kind of staying in the same spot over here. This is that pivot point I was talking about. It's doing a little spin move, and it's going to act like a bouncy ball and go somewhere up the East Coast. We are close enough now to where we are pretty sure about the trajectory of this low pressure system, but it is absolutely taking its time down here in the southern portion of the U.S. Here we are at 1 a.m. in the morning, okay? 1 a.m. Sunday. Snow is breaking out in western Tennessee. Now, if you're in Memphis around midnight to 1 a.m., you're going to be right on the line, okay? If you're in northwestern Memphis, it might be snowing, and if you're in southeastern Memphis, it might be raining. Literally, that's the kind of line that we could see set up. But of course, here in Jonesboro, it's still snowing heavily. Now, let's go just a little bit further, and it's still raining, okay? It's still raining very heavily here in Alabama. We've got some very heavy rain showers moving through the panhandle of Florida into southwestern Georgia now. And, you know, a big overlooked portion of this storm is going to be the rain and the storms. So here's just through tomorrow morning, we can see widespread 1 to 4 inches of rain through a lot of Alabama, maybe even extreme southern portions of Tennessee, but of course into Georgia, into Florida. I think we're going to see some flash flooding problems here. I really do. These are juiced up rain showers and storms coming from the Gulf of Mexico, and they're going to dump that ocean water right on you. Speaking of stronger cells, we're going to be talking about a full-on severe weather event down here in Florida. Around 8 a.m. tomorrow morning, north of the Tampa Bay region, we're going to see a slanted squall line of severe thunderstorms and damaging winds move through the state of Florida. It's going to start over here on the western side. I think Tampa, you're going to see those storms move in around 9 or 10 a.m. Now, this isn't a huge deal, okay? You guys have seen this before, but a really big blast of wind's going to come through. We could see some scattered wind damage out there, and then behind it, the temperature is going to cool down quite a bit. We're going to see those storms exit Florida around 7 p.m. on Sunday, so it does take a while for these to go across the state, but flash flooding isn't going to be a big deal here. The main threat, once again, is going to be those straight line damaging winds, especially right there in central Florida. All right, we're going to briefly shift our focus over here to the southeast, specifically the Carolinas, as we track this potential major ice storm down here. We're going to see precipitation move into Georgia and South Carolina around 2 a.m. in the morning, but it is expected that when it first starts falling, it's going to be normal rain, okay? And then as that precipitation gets stronger, not only are we going to see the cool air damming effect that we talked about yesterday, but also another phenomenon known as dynamic cooling is going to happen, as some of the colder temperatures might cycle down to the surface as the precipitation gets a little bit heavier. So that's why we're going to see that freezing rain expand in coverage here as we get into the 8 a.m. time frame on Sunday. Also, watch out in Tennessee, Kentucky, over here in the Appalachian Mountain regions. It's expected that a lot of the precipitation is going to start off as ice for you as well. But the heaviest ice and sleet is definitely going to be falling over here in the Piedmont of the Carolinas. Now watch as that freezing rain and sleet line goes to the north a little bit as the day goes on. We got a massive lower level jet stream bringing in that warm air. It's doing its best to try to undam the cold air, and it does work a little bit, but it's going to take time for that to happen. By 12 p.m. noon, we're still seeing heavy freezing rain in the Charlotte area. This is where things could probably start to get a little bit dicey, a little bit icy. We're going to have winds blowing around 15 to 25 miles an hour. So at this time, if you start seeing a tenth of an inch or a quarter of an inch of ice piling up on power lines and trees, that adds hundreds of pounds to those. And you add a wind gust on top of that, you're going to start seeing trees falling. You're going to start seeing the cables between power poles falling. And I do expect to see power outages down here almost certainly, especially in and around the Charlotte region. We can also see some of those same effects up here in eastern Kentucky into West Virginia as that first little band of heavy precipitation moves through. And then by the time we get into around 4 or 5 p.m. on Sunday, a lot of the icing moves out of the Georgia, South Carolina, and North Carolina areas that were hardest hit and starts to move up to the north and east. Here's a look at the freezing rain accumulation possibilities through 5 p.m. tomorrow. And you can see very clearly, once again, our bullseye in northeastern Georgia through South Carolina and North Carolina. Look at this. According to the latest NAM, somewhere between Greenville and Greenwood, South Carolina, could pick up over an inch of freezing rain or ice accumulation. That would not only be a bad ice storm, that would be a catastrophic ice storm. So I told you guys to go get your milk and bread yesterday. I hope you did that. I know it's a joke, this isn't something you should be joking about, but like seriously, if you live in this specific area of North and South Carolina into northeastern Georgia, if you've got a generator, do whatever you got to do to get that ready. If you've got anything that you need to take care of it now, because this can cause power outages that last, for a pretty good amount of time, can bring down a bunch of trees, and obviously road travel is going to be horrendous if this actually comes to fruition. Let's hope for the best. The National Weather Service and everybody still thinks that there's only going to be about a half inch of ice fall, which, don't get me wrong, that's still very bad, but not nearly as bad as over an inch over here. So we're going to hope for the best, but prepare for the worst. Also, a good tenth to a quarter of an inch of ice is going to be possible over here in northern middle Tennessee into northeastern Tennessee, southwest Virginia, portions of West Virginia, and eastern Kentucky. So that's also going to be causing problems up there. So get ready for that. Now, real quick, I want to touch on the snow again. I know Middle Tennessee, you feel left out because I didn't really talk about you. But just like I said yesterday, this is going to be a mess in Tennessee. This is going to start off as rain, and then it's going to do some freezing rain, and then some sleet, and then some snow, and then some rain, all the way through the day on Sunday. Your best chance of seeing snow from Nashville to Knoxville, even maybe just a tiny bit here in Georgia, Alabama, and Tennessee, is going to be after 3 or 4 p.m. tomorrow, whenever some of that new cold air and backside snow starts building in here. This also goes for you guys here in the Appalachian snow hole that I talked about yesterday. Once that southeast flow starts to move off to your north and east, now we're concerned about that northwest flow, which we're going to have no problem with at all there. But yeah, anybody in this general vicinity is going to have a better time receiving heavy snow and any sort of accumulation from the backside snows, which will be moving through tomorrow evening. Okay, so but unfortunately, all these people that were hyping up a giant snowstorm there in Middle Tennessee, it's not going to happen, guys. You got to unfollow the hype weather dude on Facebook. I'm telling you, he's only going to continue to let you down. Decent snow totals are going to be possible out here, but it's not a blizzard by any means. Also, speaking of severe weather, down here from about Myrtle Beach up into the Outer Banks of North Carolina, we're going to see that squall line race through down here, and we have not only a severe weather damaging wind threat, where I wouldn't be surprised if we saw some hurricane force wind gusts down here, but additionally, especially right here in the southern Outer Banks area of North Carolina, we have a very marginal tornado threat, as there is enough rotation here with that lower level jet streak to potentially cause some tornadoes. So it's a big storm, guys. Like I'm sorry if the video feels like it's all over the place. I'm sorry if I'm kind of skipping over a place or two, but like this is just a lot to cover in one video. All right, moving right along, let's take a look at the Mid-Atlantic region. We're going to see precipitation break out in Washington, D.C. around 3 p.m. tomorrow, and it's going to start off as snow. It might start off as very heavy snow, okay? 5 p.m. You could see snowfall rates around an inch an hour or higher there in D.C. You might even start to see the snow start to pile up, but don't get too excited because here comes the freezing rain, okay? Once again, a big band of freezing rain is going to be moving up into into Virginia and the Delmarva area, maybe all the way up into New Jersey as well. This is going to put down a quick glaze of ice on top of the snow, which once again, this could cause problems, big problems on the roads, but maybe even some intermittent infrastructure problems if some of that ice starts to build up on surfaces. But even that's not going to last long, because there in DC by 9 p.m., you're all rain, okay? This storm is so strong. It's so weird. This isn't your normal nor'easter, especially because of the bouncy ball motion of it being an Alberta clipper and then hitting the Gulf of Mexico and then kind of being an Apps runner, kind of being a Miller A type storm. Like it's a weird storm. I don't care what you say. I've been watching the weather. I've been looking at this stuff for a very long time. Never have I seen something exactly like this. But anyways, our weird storm has such a strong inflow area into the low pressure center that the cold air doesn't stand a chance, all right? And a lot of that warm wedge is going to be making it very far inland. And then up here in West Virginia and the panhandle of Maryland into southern Pennsylvania, we are going to be seeing some icing still at 11 p.m., which could cause some big time problems there. Okay, let's do a live instant replay here and look at where we've been so far. Holy smokes, is this thing a big storm, a very complex storm. It's affecting a lot of people. And, around 9 to 10 p.m. tomorrow, it's going to be a beautiful satellite image with a very large comma head presentation. Once again, the backside snows over here are going to be the place to be. This is where the most snow is not only going to fall, but stick and not be interrupted by freezing rain and stuff like that, especially the further north you go in that circle. Eastern Ohio, I think you guys are going to get clobbered with snow. Western Pennsylvania, you guys are going to get clobbered with snow. Now, a lot of central and eastern Pennsylvania and upstate New York, you're also going to get clobbered with snow. But I have some bad news for you. All right, let's talk about how this is not your average nor'easter here and how we have a really weird upper level setup. So if you're in Pennsylvania and New York in this area, it's going to start off as snow, heavy snow, like really heavy snow, probably the heaviest snow you've seen all year, around 7 p.m. on Sunday. Okay, it's going to get heavier and heavier. You're going to see the snow totals starting to pile up, and then you're going to get hit by the blast of freezing rain and regular rain. By 4 a.m. in the morning, unfortunately, the models that we were looking at yesterday, I told you the NAM saw that upper level dry air infiltrating into the middle of the storm. That's exactly what's going to happen here. So I think a lot of snow is going to fall there in central PA into upstate New York, but some of that is going to be washed away by the rain that comes in afterwards, okay? Not all of it. Usually a nor'easter or a storm like this will have a solid precipitation shield back here, and the heaviest snow normally would happen in this region right here, close to the LP, near the moisture inflow, near the backside cold air coming down, but we just have dry air and warm air infiltrating into the middle of this thing, and it's tearing it apart. So it does look like icing is also going to be a small problem up here from Pennsylvania into Massachusetts. But once again, the reason we're not so concerned about that is because it's not going to last long. It's not going to be as prolific as down there in the Carolinas. And then temperatures are actually going to be a little bit warmer up here. So we're going to see a lot of regular rain too. Okay, the last impact that I want to talk about, certainly not the least, but one that I think is just not talked about enough, is the wind speeds out here, okay? If we do get some ice accumulation out here, it's going to cause some problems because we're going to have 50 to 60 mile an hour wind gusts through Pennsylvania, New York, into Connecticut, Rhode Island, Massachusetts. Even downtown New York City is going to see some of those really strong wind gusts. It's going to start off down there in the mid-Atlantic region and then come up into New England around 3 a.m. on Monday. And then this is where things get crazy, okay? By the time this storm approaches Cape Cod, we're going to start to see 100 mile an hour wind gusts over the ocean, okay? We're going to see hurricane force wind gusts probably inland. We're talking about 50, 60 mile an hour winds, maybe a couple 70 mile an hour wind gusts in the Boston area. But what I'm most concerned about is the southeastern flank of Massachusetts and Rhode Island there. When we have these 100 mile an hour winds over the ocean, that's going to cause more than likely major coastal flooding, especially in the Newport region. So make sure you're prepared for that. If you live in an area that can be heavily impacted by coastal flooding, it's going to happen with this storm. Once again, nor'easters are pretty notorious for causing, big winds, especially over the ocean. But this is one of the bigger ones, okay? 100 mile an hour plus. That is no joke. And that is going to continue all the way up into Maine. Look at that, still at 104 miles an hour at 1 p.m. on Monday, just off the coast of northeastern Maine there, where we could once again still see some very strong coastal flooding. And of course, that's going to continue to go on up towards Nova Scotia and be a huge problem with wind, rain, and snow. All right, how much daggone snow we going to get, Ryan? You talk too much, daggone it. Just tell me how much snow we're going to get. Okay, so this is, once again, the National Forecast Database. This is very conservative, but I like this. I think this is a really good map to go by if you're trying to figure out how much snow to expect from this. We're going to know real soon, but I think somebody over here in Northwest Arkansas is going to win in the central U.S. with probably over a foot of snow, but it's going to be a really small area. And then a general 1 to 3 inches from around Memphis up to Nashville, and then maybe 2 to 4 inches from Nashville all the way up into eastern Kentucky with a couple intermittent areas of 4 to 6 inches, okay? 3 to 6 inches for a lot of eastern Ohio from Ashland all the way up to Cleveland. And then the farther east you go, the closer you're going to be to that 6 to 12 inch range. Western PA is going to get clobbered with over 10 inches of snow. And then once we get over here into this portion of the country, this is where things get a little wonky, okay? I do think that, 6 to 12 inches is going to fall along the spine of the Appalachian Mountains in Pennsylvania up into upstate New York. But it's this area that a lot of that warm air, some of the freezing rain and rain is going to come in and try to wash some of this away. So if you get a foot of snow that falls, you might only actually see 6 inches. Or if you see 4 inches fall, you might see nothing by the time the rain comes in. So it's just going to be a big slushy mess through a lot of this region. The big problem down here is going to be those winds, man. That's going to be crazy. Huge shout out to our members over here if you can see them. I know it goes by pretty fast. Guys, I have a literal headache after forecasting this storm. This is one of the most complex and weirdest and stupidest storms I've ever stupid tracked before in my stupid life. But I'm proud of the content that I put out so far, and I hope that it helped you in some way. Obviously, tomorrow everything will come to fruition as we do the live stream, and I hope you're there for that as well. I got to get to work producing more content for these other social media sites. So I'll see you over there, okay? Or I'll just see you tomorrow on the live stream. Goodbye.